Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's dive into the story of how a tech team in Spain took on a tyrannical project manager and turned the tables on him in the most satisfying way. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Workers stage a coup against the manager. Circa 2005, I switched jobs. The new job came with an awesome perk, 3 months working in Spain. I lived back then in Argentina, all expenses paid, earning my salary plus an extremely generous per diem. For me, it was awesome. It meant that I would get pretty much the salary of a year in 3 months, plus the opportunity to visit Europe and travel for the first time. The caveat was that the project was a nightmare. The consulting company that hired me had won a really big bank project and overpromised. We had to finish the project in a really impossible time frame. That's why I was going there. It was a kind of all-hands-on-deck situation. When I arrived there, working hours were ridiculous. 9 a.m. was the start time, and we rarely left before 11 p.m., sometimes even being there till 1 or 2 in the morning. I had no problem with that. I was living in a hotel. The only people I knew in the city were in the project as well, so we bonded over the situation. My colleagues were also really supportive. They made a point that I wasn't going to work on weekend and told me that we work our butts off Monday to Thursday, but on Friday afternoon you're going straight to the airport. You have to take on the opportunity to get to know Europe. We'll get by. The problem, as usual in this situation, was the project manager. We used to call him Soron. He was a manager that took pride in saying, I started working in this company. I met my wife because of this company. I got married because of this company. I got divorced because of this company. I live because of this company. He was middle management, so yeah. Since hours were really long and pretty much everyone was exhausted from the night before, the tech team, minus Soron, used to scroll down to a cafe down the street at 9:15 a.m., and have a hearty breakfast while we planned the day ahead. Team leaders were included, and it was kind of an impromptu and informal scrum meeting we held. One day, Soron and I had a meeting with the client in the office. While I was there, client said to Soron, by the way, I'm going to need this and that for this afternoon, and Soron said, okay, I'll go down to the bullpen and ask someone for that. Be right back. Just keep on with the meeting, and I'll join when I get back. But he never came back. The meeting finished with me and the client, and Soron never came back. After the client left, 2 hours later, I went down and found that nobody was in the bullpen, not a single soul. Not Soron nor the team, and then I heard screaming from one of the meeting rooms. I opened the door and found the whole team shouting at Soron and Soron shouting back. Soron was furious because the team was at the cafe. The team was furious because he had no right to be angry about that since everybody worked an insane amount of overtime with no complaints. And Soron said, I don't effing care. You're hired to start your work at 9 a.m. You have to be here at your desks at that time. That's what we're paying you bums for. One of the team leaders, seeing that this was going nowhere, said, okay, and ended the meeting. Soron pretty much disappeared all day having meetings and such. And then at 7 p.m. we all left. Since Soron asked us to work the hours they were paying us to work, we finished the shift and left. And we did that the next day. And the next one as well. We did it for a whole week. Soron missed a couple of milestones and got an earful by the client and his bosses. Soron realized his screw-up. He became docile and never complained about anything else, not the cafe meetings and not even about the seldom longer than usual lunch. We did work a lot more hours than what he was paying us for, but the environment became more relaxed, and Soron made a point of trying to be at the bullpen the shortest time possible. Bloody stupid to try to change something that's working very, very well. And our second story. How sticking to my word led to an unforgettable Valentine's trip to Rome. I have a hobby that I turned into a small business. It's not a lot of money, but it's kind of nice, and it's a thing that I enjoy doing. Over the last 5 years or so, I've developed a reputation as a man of my word and someone who provides a great product at a fair price. I live in an area that has a lot of vacation homes around a lake. These homes are owned by people who have $500K or more to spend on having a place on the lake and go on weekends during the summer. Mary and Steve were two of these people. Mary and Steve own a couple of businesses. They're known for treating people fairly. Even people that they've fired will tend to acknowledge that they had it coming. Mary stopped by my shop back in September. She wanted to hire me to do some work for them for Steve's Christmas gift. I could do what she wanted me to do. I gave her a price tag of $5,500. She agreed instantly. We shook hands and I went to work. I got it finished up December 20th, just in time. I had to take a few days off from my regular job to make it happen. Mary was thrilled at the results. She went to get me a check and she wanted to write it out for $11,000, double what we agreed on. I declined, telling her the $5,500 was what we agreed to, and that's all I was going to take. On December 26th rolls around, Steve shows up thanking me for his Christmas gift, gushing over the craftsmanship, then complains I wouldn't take the bonus money that I was offered. I explained to him, Mary and I agreed on the price, and we shook hands on it. A deal's a deal. Steve says to me, well, at least let me buy you and your girlfriend dinner 21 times. He had a big crap-eating grin on his face. I should have known he was up to something. I thought about it, thinking local restaurants, and agreed. Then he said, my choice, any place I choose, all on my dime. In hindsight, this should have clued me into the fact that he had something up his sleeve. I smiled and laughed and said, okay. The entire month of January went by. I didn't hear a thing from Steve and Mary, which is fine. We're not exactly in the same social circles. At the end of January, all of a sudden my girlfriend just got super happy, like giddy. I knew she had a secret she was keeping from me, but I wasn't sure what. She told me to pack my bags for a Valentine's Day trip. We'd be gone for 10 days and bring my passport. We'd leave on the 10th of February, 19 days ago. We got to the airport, and who would you guess was there? Steve and Mary. I was shocked as crap. Steve said that he had a debt to pay, and he owed us 21 meals at time and place of his choosing, and he chose Rome over Valentine's Day. I tried to say no. He threw my words back in my face. A deal's a deal. The four of us spent the next week in Rome, Italy. Steve and Mary paid for our flights, hotel room, and 21 meals. All of our tours and transport was on us. We got back home on the 22nd of February. We had a great time. Obviously, it's nothing to complain about, but I don't see why they felt the need to pay more to begin with. Was it just that much better quality than they were expecting? Or did you lowball the cost for them as a favor or something? And our next story. Neighbor claims they have the right to use my driveway. A bit of context before diving into the situation. I live in Tennessee and have a driveway that leads to both my property and a neighboring one's that's been vacant since I moved in a year ago. Soon after settling in, I noticed the neighbors on the opposite side of this vacant property were using my driveway a lot, driving behind the house and generally acting like they own the place. They were tearing up the driveway at all hours, which was already in desperate need of maintenance. Naturally, I started parking in the driveway to block their access. After a few days, one of the neighbors came knocking, asking what the deal was. I explained that there's no easement with any of the properties, not even the one directly beside us, because it's vacant. I told him I'd be happy to share the driveway if he contributed to its upkeep, and we established a curfew, considering they were constantly speeding up and down at all hours. He agreed, but fast forward a year, and there was absolutely no effort on their part. My wife and I ended up paying for gravel and having it spread ourselves. We've repeatedly asked them to stop using the driveway, tried blocking it off with our vehicles, and our next step is building a fence to the end of our property around the driveway. The neighbor claims he has an easement with the vacant property, but my closing agreement specifically states there is a shared driveway with a vacant property. There will need to be a sharing agreement if the property becomes inhabited. I've been nice for a year, but I'm tired of my driveway getting wrecked by their big trucks and dealing with their disrespectful behavior. Tomorrow, I'm calling planning and zoning to confirm everything I'm saying is correct. I found out the only reason they go back there is that they're using the vacant property's backyard as a junkyard for old cars and car parts. I looked up the assessment for the vacant property and discovered something shocking. The owner's been dead since 2014. Now I've got to figure out what that means and whether there was an easement on the property before she passed away. I called the planning commission, but since I'm not within city limits, the lady couldn't tell me much. However, she was super helpful and confirmed that he's 100% trespassing. She even spotted the junkyard from a satellite view and advised me to take the matter to the sheriff's office. I'm probably going to hold off until my security cameras arrive, as I don't want to stir the pot until I have constant recording for my safety and to show the sheriff when I do make the call. I reached out to the trustee's office and learned that while the property taxes were paid last year, they haven't been paid for the current year. The deceased woman is still listed as the owner, but there's no information on who's paying the taxes. That's my next mission, to figure out who's handling this. I even found the daughter of the deceased lady on Facebook, but I'm unsure how appropriate it would be to message her about the situation, considering they're trashing her mother's property. To top it all off, they've now got an excavator over there digging a path from their property to the vacant one. It's beyond ridiculous at this point. Despite the frustrations and the runaround, things finally took a turn for the better. I managed to get in touch with the deceased property owner's daughter. After some initial hesitation, she was horrified to learn what had been happening on her mother's land. She thanked me for bringing it to her attention and immediately took action. The daughter contacted the sheriff's office and had a formal complaint filed. She also hired a lawyer to help sort out the easement and property issues. Within a few weeks, the junkyard was cleaned up and the trespassing neighbors received a legal notice forbidding them from using the driveway or the vacant property. As for us, we're now able to enjoy our driveway in peace, and the fence we put up serves as a firm reminder to anyone thinking of pushing their luck. And our last story. Relatives sold my father's and my mom's house for half of the value. My father passed away a few years ago, and my adopted mom, who is old and has dementia, relatives sold my father's and mother's house for half the value with everything inside in a rush sale. I did not know the law at that time and was told by my mom's relatives that my father had no will, so everything automatically went to my mom and her family. I came across an article that in that country that when a person dies without a will, their heirs/children automatically inherit the estate. The estate cannot be sold without all heirs agreeing. If it is sold, the sale will be void. I've contacted a lawyer and it was true. I can get the house back by simply showing my birth certificate. Also, because my mom has dementia, she's not capable of doing a sale. The lawyer went to meet with my mom on my behalf to ask a few questions about the sale of the house. Her relatives heard everything, then started attacking me online and making nasty posts about me and how I was going to kick a family out of the house because of pure greed and that I already have a house in the USA. I'm greedy to have another house. They threaten that they'll get new owners to sue me, etc. My mom's relatives don't work and use the money of the sale of the house for their own benefit, so not only will they have to return all the money, the new owners of the house will have to look for somewhere else to live, which they can no longer afford a house because the house was sold for half of the market value. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.